Hi guys, and welcome back to the Mind Space. Today we've actually got a couple of things to cover, and I'm really excited about one of them. So, thank you first of all for being patient. I've had a rough couple of weeks between two different illnesses, and ultimately I'm also going to be in London from tomorrow until Monday, so I will also be a bit delayed with the second video that I wanted to do. So, other than that, Equinox just told us about set 2 of Altered, known as the Trial by Frost, which we're going to take a look at together, I think. So let's pull that up on screen right now. And we have the Trial by Frost preview. So what do we have? Begin your ascent Trial by Frost, face off against the dangers of Kai's Adara, steep range of mountains and shrouded in eternal winter. Gear up, gather your strength, lead your expeditions through a hostile environment of ice and snow. Beautiful artwork. Beautiful artwork of what we have had, what's to come, and what we're going forward to do. So if anybody's been following the Altered lore that's been coming out every so often, the previous article, by the way, well worth a read, very good story. The previous article dealt with the Kraken, who was in the way of the expeditions going forward, and they finally dealt with the Kraken. I won't say no more. If you want to read it for yourself on how, you can go and check the previous news articles about it. However, with the Kraken out the way, they now have the ability to move forward and advance the expeditions, and now take things to the next step. And that's what this artwork here depicts, moving on to the next step of the, I would say, moving forward and advancing. Beautiful. Trial by Frost. January 31st next year. That's not too far away. That's only a few months. Still plenty of time, and given that the official release was only a month ago, and in July we had the Kickstarter, it's a reasonable amount of time. So, they say here, yeah, the Solstice Gate is open, the Kraken is no more, time to explore what's outside the limits of Asgartha. Beyond the unknown lies the source of the tumult and the answers to the state of the world. But that wonderful little ice mountain in the background stands in the way, or whatever that blue light is even. We'll find out, won't we? And this looks like, oh, this looks pretty. This is artwork for, I suppose, some of the new cards. We take a quick look. If I were to hazard a guess here, that's probably going to be Fenrir or the two of Fenrir's children, Hati and Skull. Potentially a Lyra or Bravos card, because Fenrir is the child of Loki, and we have Loki as a deity in Lyra. So could be in Bravos with an out-of-faction Lyra, or the other way around, vice versa. Lyra with an out-of-faction Bravos. Very, very nice. A Mothman to do with mana? Could be Izmir. Now that's got to be Ordis. That's very clearly Ordis colors, Ordis look, Ordis something. It's an Ordis. It's got to be an Ordis card. Very pretty. Love ice themes. It's definitely a crux of mine. Now this looks like equipment, a sleigh or a sled. Is there a gem on the top of it? It looks very nice, but I couldn't really think. If Fenrir is in Lyra, then this must be a Bravos card, and if Fenrir, Hati, Skull, or whatever it's going to end up being called, is in Bravos, this will end up being a Lyra card. Just the whole fantasy look, as Lyra is very much on fantasy as its theme, and Bravos is about mythical legends. This fits in pretty much either or. I don't think we need to debate that that's straight up an Axiom card. It's got all the traits of an Axiom look, it's got Axiom equipment, it's very Axiom looking. Would not surprise me if this was straight up just an Axiom card. And the last one left that I can only think of here, this one's to do with nature, it's gotta be Muna as well. Mind you, these are my opinions and predictions based on everything that I've read and seen. Very interested to see what this card does in the future. if at all. It's probably, if it's going to be Muna, be very big, very costly, high stats, and just be very annoying. So, what do we have here? Many hardships await on the way through the mountain. You will need to come equipped with gear, a new type of permanent. Bolster your expeditions with the right tool or the perfect snack for the road ahead. Okay, perfect snack. An Arcolano milk. Play me in an expedition. If it moves forward, I go to reserve during rest. Expedition permanent. Oh, we have expedition permanents now. So I assume then you play this first. When a character joins my expedition, it gains 1 boost and fleeting. Oof. Gains fleeting as I guess for some cards that's not bad. There's a world where you play this, the Haven from Bravos the Permanent from the Beyond the Gates, preferably 2. Play then 2 cards from reserve because they will already have fleeting, and they will then get the effect of the Haven boosts and this, and then you have 3 boosts on that card for quite cheap, I would imagine, which makes your lower costing cards pretty beefy. The other thing to note is that if your expedition does not advance, you keep the permanent for the next turn. Otherwise it goes to reserve. For a 1/1, it's pretty cheap. I'm not thrilled about the fleeting. I would guess that the rare either makes this 2 boosts in fleeting or removes the fleeting. Probably the exchange of it being 2 or 3 mana from hand, maybe 2 or 3 from reserve as well. Something to that effect would be my guess. But new card type, permanent expedition permanents. Very excited to see what they do with that. My personal opinion on this card, there's potential. I would like to see the rare for sure, but above and beyond that, I'm not certain what yet we can do with it and what other expedition permanents and cards will come out. Okay, so we'll take on. Oh, there's another one. Oh, we have 3 by the looks of it. So the Kai'Sadar is both a place of wonders and harrowing dangers. You will need to learn how to maneuver through its steep cliffs and icy lakes, adapt to the environment, and become one with the elements with the cards that benefit from the different region types. Are we going to get actual... Ooh, so it's not just going to be on the hero anymore. If I am in a plant type, I am eternal. During rest, I go to reserve. So that's our second eternal card. She's a plant as well, so it fits even in my plant Muna deck. That's even better. So what that says is that if this card is in a the tumult cards where you're advancing through, if any of them have, you are fighting over the green plant type for that turn, in either the hero or companion, it has to be in the right one, of course. She's eternal, stays in for that turn. So this can be a bit hit and miss. Another one where I really want to see the rare make this cheaper, because I want to see this card earlier, not later. And at 6, that's kind of heavy. If she then, I don't know, what would I want to see on the rare? Lower stats, lower cost, probably 4/4 with maybe 4/3/3. I'd be happy with a 4/2/2 or a 5/2/2 in that case. Or they add water to that. If I'm in plant or water, I am eternal on the rare. That would also be fine. It's not bad. Every single plant card is fantastic to see, because right now I believe plants is a very good deck on its own. I picked up a new unique for that, which gives Muna more draw power, so I'm very excited to see more plants in general. I'm a fan. Think I need to see the rare though. So, beyond certain altitudes, oxygen becomes scarce and resting comes at a costly price. Price? Should that be price? Be very careful how you manage your resources and stay vigilant as your expeditions progress, lest you become exhausted. What are they implying there? Moth Larva, 1/1, that's an animal. 1/0/1 from hand. If there are 2 or more exhausted cards in reserve, I gain 1 to this point, to my knowledge, we are currently unable to exhaust any cards in reserve. They simply go to reserve and then you play them again later. This obviously gives the implication that that's about to change through card effects that may only be activated inside of reserve, perhaps. Or it's a cost for something else, who knows, but this could be interesting. I think the power level's a bit low. You require 2 or more exhausted cards in reserve to just gain 1 boost, which is then 2/1/2. It's alright if you can get that. Another one of those where I don't need to see the rare this time, as I reckon the rare will just be I gain 2 boosts. Or just wants to see 1 or more exhausted card in reserve, which is also fine. I don't need to see the rare, I need to see what the possible applications of exhausting cards in reserve means. What effects we will get, how important, vital it's going to be this set, and whether or not this will dethrone, I believe it's Statius Disciple, but don't fact check me on that. There's a few alternative 1 costs that are still pretty good, and probably won't be dethroned by this without a specific deck that wants to exhaust a lot of cards. Particularly with the fact that we won't be getting new heroes on this set, to my knowledge. So, to help you on your journey, the 12 heroes from Beyond the Gates will make their return in Trial by Frost. 1 hero card can be found in every Trial by Frost booster pack. That's no different from the Beyond the Gates retail pack. You will just get 1 of the random 12 heroes as normal. They will not have alternate artworks, they will not have new abilities, they are the same as the Beyond the Gate heroes. To showcase the progress of your expedition on the journey through the Caves Ardara, we've done a bit of terraforming work with the adventure cards. Cool! Discover the new cards from Trial by Frost representing the beautiful snowy regions of the Caves Ardara. Starting with Trial by Frost, adventure cards will be available in the booster packs. You can find any of the 5 in every... any of the 5 adventure cards every 5 booster packs. 1 in 5. And you want all 5, so... every 25 booster packs, in theory, you should get all 5. So a display likely will have the full set at least once. Let's have a quick look at these. I believe that's the Ouroboros. Looks pretty. Leaving the region that we know and heading into the unknown. And then from the companion side, pretty. Again, Equinox, please, we really, really want to foil these. And laminate them, sleeve them, use them. We really, really want these foiled. Oh, that's also nice. Looks like it's broken wall going into a fortress, an old... can't really tell from this perspective. All looks very nice. The artwork for this game has always been something I've been fascinated with. Yeah, very, very good. The placement of the 3 colors, the plant, earth, water, has not changed. They match the Beyond the Gates, so you can mix and match if you want to, but you still need to have the standard setup. So you need 1 of each of these, where it's earth, water, plant, earth, plant, earth, water. You need that specific setup. You cannot mix them so that this doesn't match, because that's obviously against the balance of the game. Please be careful about that. The best way to tell is that you have, on the bottom, 1 of each of the 3 elements once. So here you have the 1 plant, the 1 earth, and the 1 water, and then you're fine. In that case, the best way to do that is to simply just not mix. But perhaps you aesthetically like the water one over the Beyond the Gates water one. Just make sure that you have these specific arrangements of the Tumult cards. Start your journey in Trial by Frost with booster displays and booster packs. There will be no starter kits then, no starter decks. That makes sense. We've got no new heroes and we don't need anything else. Oh, that, again, I'm a fan. I'm big on blue. Really big on blue. So, re-release January 24th, of course, a week before the release. There's one thing I want to check before we wrap up today. Beyond the Gates had I believe it was somewhere in the region of 536 cards in total. That is a result of having about 160 common cards, and then of those common cards, 160 rare versions of those cards, and then about 160 again of the out of faction rare versions of each of these cards. How big is this set going to be? And we know that Ysmir is at the back of the set, as the Beyond the Gates started about 130-ish to about 160. And if you can see, it's very small on the bottom here. This will be Trial by Frost 88. So that starts way earlier. So give or take somewhere in the region of 100 cards. So 100 common, 100 rare, 100 out of faction rare, plus uniques. Much smaller set than Beyond the Gates, but rightfully so. Beyond the Gates was such a big set. I have gone through so many displays and I still don't have everything 3 times. This is a much, for me, much more welcome than seeing 500 plus cards a set. This is only going to be around 300, which is much more manageable. I would like to see sets of that size going forward. The initial set is always, for any TCG, a lot bigger, so that they have an established base set of cards to work with, and that we have that is fantastic, but thank God that this set is not going to be so heavy on my wallet. Just fact checking that Muna is definitely on the far end as well. 63 is pretty good, and I believe Bravos is pretty early. It's Axiom, Bravos, Ordis, Lyra, Muna, Ysmir, I think, in that order. But yeah, 32. I know for a fact that Axiom is first and Bravos is second. So Bravos already being in the low 30s is very good for the set number. Yeah, between 100 and 110 cards for the set is fantastic news. Yeah, so that's the coverage of Trial by Frost. I absolutely am excited for the continuation of the Alter storyline and the release of the sets, and hopefully the oncoming spoilers over time. I want to see a new Leviathan is a wish. Obviously, we had the Kraken and Kaibara, who were both involved in the storyline leading up to this point, and none of the other factions have their own Leviathan at this point. Of course, the Kaibara and Kraken had out of factions versions of themselves, which linked up to 2 other factions. But I, of course, want to see each faction get their own. These are pretty powerful boss monsters in their own right, and I am looking forward to seeing what Muna's has, because I am definitely a Muna player. While the Hydrokyna is very nice, we deserve a second plant boss monster, don't we? No? Okay. In that case, guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and the next video will be a deck review as promised. It will be coming on Monday, most likely. Please don't hold me to that. Could be Tuesday. In that case, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.